Well, here we are in front of the Dragon Lord van. I worked on this thing in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at HQ Auto Body. Back in the 70s, late 70s, I used to do custom automotive, Harley Davidson's, hot rods and stuff, and I did it till about 89. And then, well, combination of things, the fumes and the chemicals from working with automotive at the time, a lot of the solvents kind of wrecked my lungs, and besides that, 3M came out with their plotter, and the vinyl stickers kind of killed all of our sign painters and pinstripers business. So that's when I decided, maybe I should get into what I really like, which was fantasy art and painting and gaming. And since then, that's all I've done. But then about a year ago, a friend of mine said, hey, have you ever thought about going back into custom auto? Everything's going water-based. And I went, oh my God, are you serious? They got a water-base that will work for automotive, UV and all. And so I tried this paint up and I loved it. It worked out great. And I was going to buy a new van. And I've had this van, the 2000 Dodge B1500 van, since 2000. And I put 248,000 miles on it. And I said, you know what? I either have to buy a new van or I have to rebuild this one. New vans were running 30, 40,000 for what I had and what I needed. And I talked to my wife and I said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we rebuild this, customize it, really beef up the motor, tranny, exhaust, and the whole bit. And I can paint murals on it, make it the Dragon van, and use it as a portfolio, and maybe I can get the attention of the current market, which thanks to shows like Overhauling and Trick My Truck and things like that, the Speed Channel, there's a resurgence with customizing in hand airbrush and hand painted work. So I decided to go for it. But I didn't expect it to take me 900 hours. I really didn't plan this out. I just went for it. I knew it was going to be dragons. I knew I was going to try to tell a story as I went around the van. But I didn't expect 921 hours worth of work. So let me just briefly take you through. This is the Fire Dragon. Basically everything starts in the world of dragons with the birth of the Fire Dragon. I've got detail that it goes up and over this hood scoop, the tail does. Within the flames in the background, there are hidden faces. Dragon skulls, human skulls, all kinds of different things. So I wanted to make it not just, you're in your face kind of flame job with the dragon, but I also wanted to hide objects in it like I do with my regular paintings. In addition, the grill here, I actually went in and did custom flame work on each of the louvers on the insets of these grills, as well as underneath here, underneath the headlights. So the whole entire nose works with this. And it goes around the corner. If you go around here, you'll see around the fender where it also has some hidden faces, one here, and the flames morph into, well, we go from fire to ice. So the next element being the Glacier Dragon, that emerged. So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have fire, we're going to have glacier and ice, and inevitably the fire melts some of the ice and that turns into the water. The water births the Water Dragon. Now this gave me an opportunity to go with the Asian kind of element and a kind of a serpentine style dragon, and of course the dragon actually is submerged under the water. It has a little bit of a koi pattern in the skin and so forth. Threw in the bonsai tree, and this inevitably says, okay, we got fire, we've got ice, we've got water, and now comes the age of magic and man. So as this river, this lake, turns into this big walkway here, which is actually a dam that's holding back water, we have the castle. In this castle, we've got, of course, the dragon, which is being controlled by the wizard. So this is where sorcery and man and the magic come into play, and where the dragons become somewhat corrupted by these powers. So here he has the crystal ball, the eye, and the control, which is like a psychic ability the wizard does, having over this dragon. Just for the heck of it, I decided to throw some really super detail, aside from all the cracks and crevices, and every single crack here, the trees, every little pine needle is done, because I actually do with not just an airbrush, I actually go in with a fine-tuned brush work. But I threw a 1/4-inch high princess, and up here an armored knight in the tower. So, detail, I spared nothing. I went for the works. These are all night scenes, of course. This wasn't originally a green van that we painted base black, so I knew it was going to be a black van with these murals, so I wanted to capture the night scene a look, and of course the moon is the main light source. So after we introduced the Age of Man and Magic, to separate the murals from the back and the side, I put in a tree. And again, I love to hide objects, so I've got these little eyes and faces, these little critters in and out, in here and there. And that separates the scene of comedy relief, if you will, for the dragon. This is what happens to dragons after a while with magic and so forth. You have over here, you've got the Speak No Evil. Of course, his snout is tied up with a kerchief. You have the Hear No Evil. He doesn't want to know anything about anything. And they're all looking over here because this guy, who is the See No Evil, is enjoying a little snack. He's got a little armored knight there who's not going to be doing too good. And he figures, hey, what I can't see won't hurt me, so what's the big deal? So we have inevitably the corruption of the dragons and the comedy relief. That brings you to the turning into the driver's side. Here we have the column that separates it. There's a lot of stonework in it. Of course, a little critter right over here where I've signed my name underneath it. I actually etched it into the stone. And again, I hide these things everywhere. But this is the scene where it's the epic battle of good and evil. I did this van here in 2012. So I said, you know what better time to put the ultimate apocalyptic showdown. So what we have here is this, the sword of truth, the flaming sword of truth, the white-purple dragon, fighting, going in against the ultimate evil and the sign of death, which is the fourth horseman, death if you will, on a dragon mare. So it's a horse with a dragon combination. And you have the hellfire coming from behind. Just kind of like what we have in Revelations, only a little bit of a take on it, blending fantasy in it. You've got the red blood moon, which is the eclipse. You have the storms coming in with direct lightning, the volcanic eruptions, and then this whole thing is a big fissure, it's earthquake going on here. So this is just this epic good and evil battle showdown. And then lastly, you find out, after you've gone all the way around, that the entire story is being told by the Elder Dragon, who is the ancient scholar. And he has the book, which is called The Dragon Lord, the story of the Dragon Lord, which basically, as he reads, he's actually kind of like magically making the story come together. So out of the final chapters of the book he's reading here, you see the smoke, you see the demonic and different spirits and so forth forming into the hellfire that starts this scene. So he has been reading this entire story, and he's in his little chamber. So I've got the intellectual dragons, we've got the dragons that are commanded by man and magic, and inevitably we have the beginning. So it's the whole stories of dragons and how magic and dragons work together. I've actually got some imaging on the inside, which I'll show you in a second too. I'm not completely finished with the inside. I still have to do the driver's door, but I'll give you a shot of it. I'm starting to produce a line of these are dye sublimated, non-fading, UV protected license plates, tags. You know, for those people whose states don't require a front plate, it's a great addition to have. Okay, so the Glacier Dragon on the outside is also reflected on the inside with the Ice Dragon. I've got a fire and ice theme going on for the interior. The passenger door here has got the glacier, kind of like an Ice Dragon effect, and covering the fuse box is the skull, and again, purples and ice flames. And on the other side, we'll work on the Fire and Lava Dragon, which I haven't got to yet. And then they'll finish it up with the interior castle walls. They'll be like dungeon walls. And I'll have windows cut out and basically drop some of my artwork on canvas in the backdrops of each of the windows. So it'll be the total maxed out Dungeons and Dragons killer van for anybody who's into that stuff. And this, by the way, is no Trailer Queen. This actually goes on the road. I drove this 1,260 miles to Origins here. And John Ward said, you got to have it. You got to have it here. So it made it, and of course, naturally, that's dodging gravel trucks and God knows what other things that were on the road. But I made it, and it'll be ahead. You'll be seeing it around. It's going to be on the Speed Channel. I'll be at Carlisle's Truck Nationals, August 3rd through the 5th. I'll actually be demonstrating, working on a Vet hood, a 1978 Vet. And we'll be probably at, we're going to be at Daytona Turkey Rod Run from Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, till Sunday. It's the biggest East Coast Mid-Atlantic car show in the country. So I'll be working on that, and I'll be there with the van and demonstrating and stuff. So you can see me on the Speed Channel pretty soon. And hopefully, if Chip Foose or some of the other guys at the Overhauling happen to see this, maybe I'll be doing a project for them.